Hello, my name is Kevin Molis, the Malden Police Chief, and I'm here to give you a weekly video to go over some of the public safety incidents and events that have happened in the City of Malden over the past week, and to highlight some of the activity that your police department has done, and hopefully to provide you with some insight into ways that you can make your lives safer and assist us in doing our job. I want to highlight right from the beginning the fact that the shooting incident, the fatal shooting that occurred on March 2nd, 2019, remains a high priority of ours. The suspect in that shooting, originally identified as Yahia Metsori, remains at large, actively being pursued by law enforcement all over the country. And I want to ask people to pay attention at the end of this video or go on the department website for an updated wanted poster, because we now have an additional suspect who's been linked to this crime, Malden resident Joshua Espada. So I would ask people to look at the link to the information relative to that crime to be updated, and I want to assure the public that this crime remains a priority of ours, and we are working with law enforcement partners all over the country to bring these two people to justice. I'd like to point out some incidents that happened over the past week that have a common thread through them, and I'm going to point out what that thread is at the end. Earlier in the week, a location on Summer Street, 62 Summer Street, a very nice coffee shop, was the victim of a crime larceny by a single scheme. A person came into the establishment acting as a customer, engaged in a transaction, and did it in a way that was distracting to the cashier and fraudulently was able to obtain funds related to that transaction. We were able to obtain video from the store and push it out into the law enforcement community, and we were very quickly able to develop the name of the suspect in the crime, who's been positively identified and will be charged for this offense. We had information come to us recently that a nurse who works at Massachusetts General Hospital was in a cafe at the hospital and left her backpack unattended. The backpack was stolen, and she made a report to the police over at Mass General Hospital, and there was activity related to her bank card that was linked to a location in Malden, and we had video imagery of the suspect. That imagery was shown at roll call, and I was at the roll call when Officer Sean Hussett, he looked at the individual in the picture, immediately identified him and recognized who it was, and that person has been positively identified and will be charged with this crime. We recently had a very good example of video surveillance cameras assisting us. A location on Pierce Street, the property manager away from the property, which was unoccupied at the time, had received an alert that there was a B&E taking place at the property. They immediately called the police. The police were provided with video imagery that was captured on the property. Police responded, checked the property, and they were able to locate the suspect nearby. Sergeant Richard Barthamus did a great job locating that suspect. He was positively identified and placed in custody, and that suspect has a very, very lengthy criminal record for that type of crime, whether it be burglary, B&E during the day, or possession of burglarious implements. Now, there's a common thread between those three incidents. They were able to be solved with the great help of video imagery. I often mention this in my messages and when I speak to people, when I encounter them out on the street, that video imagery has become a tremendous tool toward law enforcement in solving crimes. As I sit here right now, I can tell you that the affordability of these devices has come down incredibly. I'm not here to advocate any particular product. There are several good products out there, but I can tell you that as I'm sitting here talking to you right now, I believe there is a device that costs in the area of $90 to $100 that you can use to make your property more protected and more safe, and if it captures imagery of suspicious activity or criminal behavior, that can be used as an invaluable tool toward our ability to solve crime. So I would encourage you to please give that some thought. It's something that I believe would be a great enhancement to the information that we receive, because video surveillance imagery is very, very objective and accurate. It's something that we rely on, and when we put that information out to law enforcement sources, we're many times given good, accurate information about who a suspect might be. I want to point out some very good activity that has happened over the past week by members of the Malden Police Department while they're engaged in doing police details. I know many times when you travel around the city, you see police officers who are engaged in various forms of police detail activity, and I want to let you know that many times that activity provides safety at the location, but it also helps us solve crime. For example, we recently received information that a officer was doing a detail at Broadway at Salem Street, and he saw two people acting suspiciously. He got on the radio and notified a fellow officer who was on duty in patrol. That officer was in an unmarked car. He was able to do some surveillance of these two individuals. He saw them meet up with a third person, and then they engaged in what appeared to be a drug transaction. They were able to stop these people, recover drug evidence, and one person who was taken into custody had a knife in their possession. Another good example of a police officer being on a detail and being very observant happened recently. Stop and Shop. A woman had gone in to use the restroom. She took her iPhone 8, put it aside, and then she left, not realizing she had left her phone behind. When she went back, the phone was missing, and she used the device of being able to ping her phone and locate it in the area of an apartment complex in Malden. Police officers responded to that area, and Officer Jack Owens, who had been on a detail at Stop and Shop that evening, remembered seeing two people who lived in that apartment complex area who had been in the Stop and Shop at that time when the theft had occurred. Through that information, they were able to locate a suspect involved in the theft of the phone, recover the phone, and return it to its rightful owner. So that's a good example of officers who are out on the street performing detail work, making the community safer, but also being very proactive and engaging in police work at the same time. The opioid epidemic is something that we all continue to be aware of. As I've often said, the police are on the front lines of that, along with the fire department and first responders. We do carry Narcan, and the police, fire, and Cataldo ambulance responded to an incident early this week where two people had been affected by the intake of heroin. I believe they snorted it. Narcan was administered to one of the people, and both ended up being transported, to a local hospital for treatment. I'm happy to say that there were no deaths as a result of that, so we continue to do our best to provide support, emergency response when needed, and always relying on organizations like Malden Overcoming Addiction to help people that are in that type of crisis. I want to point out that the City of Malden does have a recovery coach, Paul Hammersley, who is a good resource working out of the Board of Health office. So that's something I want to let people know is another resource that the city has made available to them. I want to point out a very good piece of police work that was performed by Officer Ken Watkins and Sergeant Steve Fitzpatrick recently. We had a call where two men had forced their way into a home. They were looking to confront someone who they thought was living at that home. I believe there was a dispute over money. However, the person that they were looking for was not there. The people that do live there were put in fear. The two suspects left the area, stole one of the residents' phones, but Officer Ken Watkins and Sergeant Fitzpatrick were able to track where these suspects went by a taxi cab to a local motel. They were able to do more of an investigation and locate the suspects in a room, place them under arrest, and recover the property. So these have all been good examples of your police department performing a tremendous service to you, a tremendous service to all the good citizens of Malden. It's something that we do each and every day and will continue to do. I want to highlight some very positive things that happened. In this very building, we had members of the 6th grade class from the Salemwood School come here, and Sergeant J.P. Kelly provided all the students and their teachers with a tour of the police station. Again, it's a way of them getting to know us a little bit better and us getting to know them, and we always look forward to those type of opportunities. I also want to point out that we had a surprise visit this week from Bill Cronin, the father of Captain Glenn Cronin. He stopped by the other day. It was a good visit. He's a great man, and we were able to provide him with a little bit of a tour of the police station. And one other great event that I was able to attend was Malden High School Civics Day, in which the students are the ones that are providing information about problems that exist in the world and in society and in our community, and coming up with solutions and ways that we can do our job better, whether it be issues of school safety, gun violence, vaping, drug abuse, and all the problems that are confronted by young people nowadays. So when you go to those type of events, you come away very optimistic, knowing that the future looks good because of the good people that are out there. And that's why every time I get this opportunity to talk to you by this video, or I get to interact with you in the public, I feel good, because the vast majority of you are good people, good citizens, good partners in our goal to make this city safer, to make this city greater, and to do our job as best we can. So I want to thank you for paying attention to my words this week. I look forward to talking to you again, but most of all, I look forward to seeing you out on the street, face to face. Take care and God bless.